What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Fireball Mullet YouTube channel. I'm Stan Kennedy. So I want to walk you through how I did the battery relocation on the car. Now, I did that for a couple reasons. One is obviously I'm doing the LSA blower. I wanted to make some more room, probably take some weight off of the front since the LSA blower itself is a little bit heavier. So that was kind of my thinking there. The other thing is I was thinking about mounting the cooling reservoir in that area. So we'll just see which one. I'm not sure which one I'm going to get yet for that, but let's get right into it. All right, so let me walk you through kind of how I did this. So obviously the first thing I would do is remove the battery, disconnect the cables from your existing battery. Now I had the starter cable, on the positive side I had a starter cable, I had the alternator cable, and then I had a couple random things that were actually ran to that as well in like a junction sort of terminal, which I never really liked. On the negative side, obviously you have a couple of ground cables, one to the chassis. I have one running directly to the block, the motor itself, and then I have a few miscellaneous ground cables again in a junction block there. So those, I didn't really change any of those cables. The next thing I did is I bought two junction blocks. So my idea was, leave the junction blocks basically will replace where the battery connections were. So I didn't have to like reroute anything up front. Just the positives, everything that used to go to the positive on the battery, I then put it to the positive junction block. And then again on the ground junction block, I just hooked all them up. So on the negative ground junction block, that was basically done. I just went ahead and mounted that. Now for the positive, obviously there's no battery anymore. That's where I also ran a 1/0 welding, heavy duty welding cable all the way back to to the car. And so once I got that into the junction block, everything just works as it is. So I didn't run it directly to the starter and then junction from there and all that. I didn't really change anything. I just kept the third gen cables that were on it. I kept the alternator cable that was on it. And really the junction blocks worked out perfect. So that's the way I did it. And so once I had the junction blocks done, the next thing would be, got some cable loom, and I covered the main positive cable that's running all the way back to the car. I went ahead and put some nice heavy duty loom on that. Then what I did is I routed it through the fender from the front to that junction block that I was talking about, all the way through the fender opening, and then I came on the inside of the car where that kick panel is, right? That's typically where your wiring harness comes through right there. So anything that I route inside the car, I normally come through that kick panel and open up another hole there and grommet and do what you have to do to kind of seal that up. So once it's in the car, then I just ran it right down the interior, right along the edge. I ran it right up through the back of the plastics here beside the seat and through the spare tire well area, and then I hooked in and cut a hole through the carpet so it's right there in sort of the trunk area, cargo area. And that's where I mounted my box. So obviously the next thing is to put the crimps on there. Now I use some really heavy duty crimps, and then You'll also need the heavy duty tool to be able to crimp that size of, which I didn't have, so I had to buy one of those, and I'll give you the part number of that here. Once I had those crimped, then it was time to mount the actual battery inside the trunk space. Now, I've seen a few guys ask me, hey, why didn't you just put it in the back spare tire area? And the problem with that for me is when I researched it, the battery can get in like an overcharged state, or if it's not like optimal for some reason, it releases vapors or gases that's both flammable and, you know, not too good to breathe in. And it's probably okay if like trunk type cars, if you have a trunk, that's probably okay. You know, for especially these hatches, it's you're in, you know, basically where we drive. So I just wanted to be, you know, it's probably fine, but I just wanted to be on the conservative and cautious side of things. So I wanted a sealed box, and so the Moroso kit that I bought has a total sealed box, and it also has a vapor tube that you also grommet through the floor pan, and so it can vent when those gases come out. So I went total, and that box will not fit in the spare tire area. I tried it. That's the reason why I ended up doing that. And for me, it's fine. I got a wide open space back there. I don't really use it. You know, so the main thing then was mount the box. So to mount the box, there's 2 threaded rods that you have to drill in the floorboard for. And then I put grommet around those, so it kind of sealed it up to the floorboard. And then I also had the washers with the nuts on underneath the car, underneath the floorboard. The only thing I added, because I was thinking, hey, if I wanted to jump start the car, you know, how would I do that? And so one of the things that I did add was a junction block that had a terminal that I could use for if I had to jump the car from underneath the hood. So I added that, and I still need to get a little plastic cover to protect any metal or ground, you know, as you're working on the car. You don't want to hit that positive, so it's good to get a little plastic or rubber covering for that. So I need to find something around that. Maybe I'll do something like the alternators have with that little rubber sort of covering on it. And I'll get a red one just to say, hey, you know, it's positive. You know, but you know, just taking your time, you know, whenever you're messing with wiring and cabling and that sort of thing, you know, make sure everything's fused and make sure that, you know, you're not running it against any sharp areas. You know, I like the plastic wire loom stuff. You can get the braided stuff as well. And then kind of once I did that, there's a few areas, and I bought some cable clamps, if you will. They really kind of screw in and secure the cable in some key areas. I did a couple in the front and a couple in the spare tire area. Those worked super nice. And then of course I had some zip ties on a few other areas where I wanted to group some cabling together. But that's really it. I mean, it did take me pretty much all week in the evenings, a few hours a night. I could have just slapped it all together probably in a few hours, but I just like really taking my time and doing it as clean as I can. I heat shrinked all the ends, color coded positive with the positive red heat shrink, and you know, I tried to do the best I could, just making it a very clean, quote unquote GM plus install. So hope this gives you guys some ideas on on how I did it. As always, like, subscribe, and comment if you have any other ideas on how to do this. I'm always super interested to hearing that. Thanks and have a great day, guys.